situation in Bengal, Kanchan Gupta, is not alarming anymore. It is much more than alarming. What I have on the other side is a complete denial. I'm not saying that either side is completely innocent and nobody is polarizing. What concerns me is the absolute denial. Kanchan Gupta, I want to start with you. My simple question as I begin the debate tonight is this. And I'd like Sumir Bhaumik to come in. Sumir Bhaumik, who killed BJP worker Ulen Rai during a protest in Siliguri? I repeat, who killed BJP worker Ulen Rai during a protest in Siliguri? The whole country and all of Bengal would want to know. Please tell Kanchan Gupta. I'll start the debate.
Do you want me to start?
Did you hear my... Yes, Mr. Bhaumik, the question is to you. Who killed BJP worker Ulen Rai, who participated in a protest in Siliguri? Who killed him, in your view?
Okay, I thought it was Kanchan who was going to speak first, but I'm not exactly aware of the circumstances in which this BJP worker was killed, but it seems that there was a protest movement there and there was police firing and police action, and this gentleman has been killed. The point here that I would try to make at the very beginning is that whenever Bengal's politics gets competitive, and this has been in the history of Bengal, in post-independent India, that whenever politics gets competitive, whenever the ruling dispensation feels that they are facing a stiff challenge and will find it difficult to hold on to power, we see a spillover of violence. It happened towards the end of Congress rule in Bengal. It has happened towards the end of the Marxist rule in Bengal. I'm not suggesting this is the end of Mamata Banerjee, but point is, she is facing a very stiff challenge. Trinamool is facing a very stiff challenge. And the bigger the challenge, you will find more and more violence here. It does not happen in many other states. Mr. Goswami, you are from Assam. I know Assam very well. But you don't see this kind of political violence in Assam. Separatist violence is different. Ulfa is different, but not this. But in Bengal, this is the template of Bengal's politics, that whenever politics here gets very competitive, in the sense that the ruling dispensation faces a stiff challenge from some challenger who has come up, whoever it is. It was Mamata Banerjee at some point of time when she was in the opposition. It was the Marxists in the late 60s, early 70s, and now it's perhaps the BJP. So whenever the challenge gets stiff, you have you see this whole thing, the political fight spilling over into the streets, and violence becomes the template of politics here.
Arnab, if I may just come in.
Sometimes political parties and individual leaders become unreasonable. Yes, Kanchanda, just one small intervention before you respond to Sumir Bhaumik and take the debate forward. I have a problem with Mr. Bhaumik's formulation that this is somehow an inextricable part of Bengal's political culture. That is a formulation which is extremely which almost gives a liberty for this kind of violence. Kanchan Gupta, please open the debate.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Goswami, don't get me wrong. I'm just stating facts.
You see, Mr. Bhaumik's his comment gets negated by the fact that more than 130 or at least 130 BJP workers, supporters, members, leaders have been killed in West Bengal. And these killings have happened over the previous three to 4 years. It's not something which has happened overnight, and it is not something which has happened only at the time of elections. We have seen how BJP workers and BJP leaders have been found hanging, or their bodies have been found hanging in extremely dubious condition. And the police investigation has been shoddy. The government's interest in putting an end to this kind of targeted attacks has been near absent. And to say that this is because, yes, Bengal has a tradition of violent politics, but to say that this just coincides with the coming election is fallacious. Having said that, I think the main problem over here is that the Trinamool Congress now feels that it is fighting with its back to the wall. And the period between the last Lok Sabha election and the coming assembly election has seen heightened BJP activism. The BJP has clearly gained political space. The opposition or the non-existent opposition in West Bengal has vacated its own traditional space, whether it is the Congress or the CPM. And that space has been very rapidly occupied by the BJP. Coupled with that is increasing discontent in West Bengal over health facilities, especially accentuated during the COVID pandemic. It is angst over the deindustrialization of West Bengal. There has been very little and very sparse investment ever since the Trinamool Congress came to power, although they came to power on the promise of bringing industry back to Bengal. And third, we have to also understand that for Mamata Banerjee, it is very crucial that she must win the coming election. If she were to lose the election, that would be the end of the Trinamool Congress story. All regional parties, historically, they ride a high, piggybacking on a popular leader. And once they fail electorally, then the future of that party it moves into the gray zone. Now, I don't want to get into a tutu mame with any Bengal expert over here. I have lived and learned in Bengal long enough to get into a word spat over here. I'm just saying what I think is the situation, and the situation is extremely grim. It is very bleak, and it will continue to get worse as the election approaches.
Kanchanda, you're a very senior person, Kanchanda. But I believe you are reading an essay for BJP. You are a very senior person, Kanchanda. We don't expect this from you. You are reading an essay.
I don't think
you are just appreciating BJP, how BJP wants to enter Bengal. Let's talk about Bengal, what is happening in Bengal. And let's talk about Delhi, what is happening in Delhi, Arnab.
I don't get into a word spat.